Hey everybody, let me show you what I got going on today. Got this 27-inch iMac stuck on the Apple loading screen. Now I've restarted it a couple of times. Same thing, gets stuck on the Apple loading screen. And after a really long time, it just comes up with the circle with the line through it. So basically it does not boot. Either hard drive is not present, hard drive is corrupt, operating system corrupt. Any one of those is going to create that situation. Now we could leave it there and keep waiting, or the best way to diagnose that is going to be to boot it up from an external operating system. That way, number one, we're diagnosing that the unit is fine. If we can boot from an external drive, and that means, the computer's hardware is okay, meaning not a memory problem or something like that. And then from there, we could also take a look at the drive and see what's going on with the drive. So let's get to that. Okay, so here we are with the iMac. I booted it off of this external drive. This is an in-house drive, so that's basically, connected here to the USB. Right, so when it boots up, at least here we can go to Disk Utility and see if we see the, where's my mouse? I'm gonna come here to Disk Utility down here. If not, just search for Disk Utility. At least here we can look at the drives. And what you can see there is, this one that's highlighted, this Apricorn, this is the external one. So the internal drive that's visible here says Apple SSD 128. 121, but really a 128 SSD. No other drive present. So what that tells me is that the hard drive is bad. Now first, a 128 SSD, this computer did not come with that. These computers in this time frame, and I looked it up, this one in particular, it came with a 1 terabyte hard drive and then a 128 SSD, which they call a fusion drive, meaning it uses the SSD for basically as a cache, as a storage, a fast storage for everything that's being currently used, and then all the other data's like on the main drive. They call it a hybrid. Instead, the solid states were very expensive at this time, so if you couldn't afford a 500 gig or terabyte drive, this was a mix around, or a way around having a little bit faster drive. We don't do that anymore because solid states have gotten very cheap. So in this case, what happened is that the hard drive failed. It's not visible. So you got a bad hard drive, even though the other one is visible. That's why it can't boot up. So what we're going to do here is we're going to open it up. We're going to just change the drive, the main drive, to a solid state drive. That 128 SSD, usually it's way over here in this, behind the board. I'm gonna, if it's successful, I've been able to take them out without moving the board. Like if your board is not, if you can't remove it without taking the board out, and you don't want to take the board out, then you could just reformat it to, probably reformat it maybe to exFAT or something like that, so that it doesn't interfere with your primary drive. The primary drive is just going to be formatted to APFS. So if you leave it there, I would reformat it to some, I guess exFAT would probably be the best bet, because the operating system is not going to look at that as a bootable drive. If you format it to something like APFS or something like that, or don't format it at all, at some point, I don't know how the operating system is going to look at it, and maybe it formats it and then tries to use it again as a fusion drive, and you just don't need that back and forth once you put just a regular solid state. So that's what's going on right here, right now at PC 911.